Hello, welcome to the Augmentation of Man with Kent and Renee Miller. That was weird. Did you see something?
Yes, something just flew across the screen. And there's nothing in here.
That was really strange.
An orb just went,
Yeah. Who's here?
somebody is here. We have had a visitor come through here. Yeah. Oh boy.
Welcome to the Augmentation of Man with Kent and Renee Miller, where we are bringing the future. Today,
We're going to speak or talk about quasars and how it relates to time correction.
so this is some new information. Well, maybe not so new. We've had a lot of information over the years, little tidbits here and there. And so when you start to think about, okay, we need to get this information out there, and I do word searches and I put all that together, sometimes we don't know if the information that we've put all together in one document all relates. In actuality, it seems like it relates, but may not be until we start asking more questions. And so
asking more questions creates more questions, because you have to look up the definition of words. You have to look up how it relates to things that are going on now. It's very difficult.
A lot of the words that they give us are in Latin and Greek root compound words, where we have to get out the Latin and Greek root word dictionary and try and piece together a definition. And then oftentimes we have to go back to the guides and ask, is this definition correct? And they may have to tweak it.
You know, we're always looking for confirmation of what we get.
And then sometimes the more you ask questions, the answers that come out of that generate more questions. And so this video is coming out a little later than we would have liked to have had it go out.
But we have the amount of understanding that Renee and I have acquired over the years, and we're trying to put these videos out now. It gives a little bit of information that we have without overwhelming you with information you don't understand. So we're giving you a little bit of understanding each one now, and we'll try to get you caught up to a lot more understanding what you have now.
A lot of this also requires our research into scientific information, because it all relates. So that is part of what we're bringing forth today, is based on the correlation with actual science as we understand it.
We try to confirm what we have also with existing scientific information that is coming in from our scientists.
And so in our last video, A Correction in Time, we spoke about how humanity got off on the wrong path. And it started initially where humanity had teachers, spiritual teachers. There were also extraterrestrial beings here at that time who were teaching humanity, but humanity became arrogant, thought that he was the center of creation, or the center of the universe, that everything evolved around humanity, that we were the center of creator's attention, that the sun evolved around us, that we were much more intelligent than what we actually were. And so what happened was the teachers backed up, and they just allowed us to
make our own mistakes.
Make our own mistakes through cause and effect, learn the hard way. And in doing so, they had to extend the timeline for learning,
Yeah.
and it created an alternate timeline. So when you think about time, time is the actual record of events that have happened for our learning purposes. So this alternate timeline now has to rejoin the natural universal timeline that was originally set out for us for our learning path.
Many thousands of years ago.
Right, because we are about to enter a new cycle of a higher learning, and everything is changing. And this video is going to address and kind of come off of the last video. So if you have not seen the last video, Correction in Time, please go back and review that, because it'll give you some of the background to what we are going to be discussing today.
So in 2008, the guide told us there was a starburst had happened then. In about 2010, scientists noticed a stream of cosmic rays coming from our galactic center.
And they were puzzled by
Yeah,
it. They were
and
wondering,
what is this?
What is this?
And so what are cosmic rays?
So cosmic rays are high energy protons and atomic nuclei, usually formed by supernovas, but scientists now are starting to wonder if there's other events that can cause the same effect. And we're starting to believe that it's probably this quasar event.
Yeah, and basically this changes the mass density of objects.
And so the guide started alluding to over the years that there was going to be a change in density. And a lot of people believe that because we're going up in vibration, that matter will also become less dense. And at one time, I believed that also. It just seemed to make sense. But when we started asking our guides, they said, no, you were confusing two separate things. Vibration is different than mass density. So we're actually going through a time of change, molecular change, where the density of atoms, the nucleus of those atoms will become heavier and denser and more concentrated, and it's going to make everything much more exceptional in its behavior and how everything operates.
Yeah,
so we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we're told that a quasar event pushes matter and protons in a stream towards planets.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a stream that goes toward certain, it's projected out towards certain planets.
And a quasar is much like a sun, except it's only on a massive scale. A huge amount of fusion, which we are still trying to break through and create our own fusion, but a huge amount of fusion, and it increases the protons and within the nuclei of atoms. And it is so intense, it's maybe what, 100 times or 1,000 times more powerful, more brighter than our sun.
Millions of times.
Millions of times.
And maybe even billions.
Yeah, so we're not even sure what that figure is. So it's causing matter to become more dense.
Through this, they described it as a proton invasion of the nuclei. So what it looks like is this was a quasar event that happened outside of our galaxy, perhaps, but far away. And it's a quasar is associated with supermassive black holes. So you have all this mass inside a supermassive black hole that gets converted to energy. And so you have this supermassive black hole, but out of the polar ends, you have this huge amount of energy being projected in these streams out the ends. And so it would have to be directed at Earth to push those particles our way.
We're talking about a fusion, not fission, but fusion matter. And a fusion is a reaction which two lighter nuclei join to form a heavier nucleus, okay, producing a large amount of energy in the process. Fusion reactions, actually, our sun, does its own fusion reactions. If it was fission, it would probably explode like the atomic bomb, but it does fusion reactions within our own sun.
And so this alters matter at the subatomic level. And so this quasar event, we have to wonder if this was the starburst that our guides were talking about back in 2008 that had occurred, that was sending this stream of particles our way that included protons, and in the process, these protons ended up in the nuclei of atoms, making them heavier and denser.
So we want to know, question basically, what will change? What change will this cause or affect?
How will we see our
here
world?
on Earth? I know it's going to affect many worlds, many planets, but how's it going to affect our world where we live now? And the field is shifting from one form to another. So matter will be expressed in a higher geometric value and become heavier, denser, and more concentrated and much more proficient.
The matter will, what they said was the matter will become equal to that of the quantum reference. So when a reference is kind of, you're comparing it with something else. So everything else that exists outside of Earth, the matter here on Earth will become comparable to the higher expression of matter that exists elsewhere in the galaxy and possibly the universe.
And this will affect our nervous system to a point that we will be able to communicate with those of higher learning, extraterrestrial, you might call them, people. And we're not going to communicate through the mouth like we are now. We're going to communicate telepathy.
So this is a higher geometric expression of our matter, of atoms. And there will be also within the universe, they talk about nerve-like connections, very similar to our body out in the universe, that are responsible for this communication network. And so there's various communication networks. We have the neural net, which is a kind of a storehouse of information that you can quickly access just by tapping into through meditation and get quick access to information, much like you would getting on the web and Googling something. But then there's other communication networks that are set up so that various entities from other planets can communicate telepathically and deliver a higher conceptual learning to those who are have lower levels of understanding.
Yeah, and we spoke about this in previous videos. This is called renumeration. And we will probably end up speaking more about it in coming videos.
And the renumeration is basically everything being expressed at a higher mathematical or geometric expression.
Okay. So humanity will return to a previous state. Hopefully that includes a higher level of learning.
Similar to that, where we left off in the Renaissance, where humanity made big advances in mathematics, astronomy, the arts, physics, science.
But the ego remained the same and the arrogance remained the same.
It was the ego and the arrogance that got us off on the wrong path.
So we are told that a quasar is at hand again. This could be a different quasar than the one that happened millions of years ago.
We don't really know.
And will replace the vibration, or will, in other words, when you're at a level 1 vibration, say the Earth is, and you go to level 2, that's replacing the level 1 vibration.
anytime that you change the mathematics and you change the structure of matter, you're going to change the vibration of that matter and how it
So a
behaves.
quasar is a pusher, basically,
Mhm.
and it pushes molecules and protons
Toward Earth, toward
right
anything in its
towards
path.
anything in its path. Could be any particular planet, but Earth happens to be one of them.
And so the guides have indicated that the quasar was related to a correction in the timeline. And so, of course, you have to wonder how that works. And so when we asked, they said that it displaces the energy in the field in which events take place. And so it increases the flow of that energy and the movement, thereby accelerating the speed at which events take place to bring about this change. And then that will return us to the natural timeline that we should have been on had we not deviated thousands of years ago.
Yeah, our being on the wrong path, our arrogance and ego is causing a correction now for the timeline that we are on now, not the one we're supposed to be on. So this is a correction of our misconceptions, a correction of our lack of desire, and our lack to want to learn. Mm-hmm. So all this will cause dissipation of the ego. It'll hopefully push the ego out.
And a lot of that has to do with the unfolding of events. So we see kind of like a domino effect going on now. One event sets the stage for the next event, and you see a toppling of the structures that we have created in this past learning cycle. So through that devastation, through all these changes, a collapse in educational system and a collapse in our financial system. And those are all supposed to take place so that we can create something better in the next cycle. And that causes us to lose our ego.
Yeah, many thousands of years ago, the native people of the world actually, through the higher self, talked to the creator. Those of the tribes talk to the creator to get direction. And we've lost that ability. So now we've got to get back to the higher self, and which is going to take a lot of learning and a lot of, I don't know what you call it, practice, but a lot of movement on our part to try to connect with our higher self so we can connect with the helpers of the creator.
So our higher self is it's a part of the soul that directs our learning process, but the higher self is also our direct connection to the creator. Yeah. And in doing so, in order to correct our path, our learning path, and get on the right path to be guided by the higher self, we have to also bequeath ourselves to the creator. So it can't be done without the creator being the focus of our attention.
Used as a tool.
Yeah. And so when this vibration shifts, when the molecular change happens, the increased density of the nucleus of atoms, that will shift the vibration. And
so how do we notice?
That higher vibration will force out the lower vibrational humans and possibly other entities here on Earth. So how will we know when this occurs? Yeah. And what they're telling us is to really watch what's going on within our own bodies.
Pay attention, not to what you understand and what you are learning. Pay attention. Do your own research, because this will help you to learn. Like somebody handing you something free, well, you'll take it for granted. You won't do much about it. But if you have to do your own research to gain that particular knowledge, you tend to remember it a lot longer and how to use it.
I think too, we're gonna start hearing telepathic communication. We'll have all these ideas coming into our minds, a new understanding. And we really, for most people, they won't know where that's coming from. We will also have a higher desire to learn. So those are a couple of things that I can say we can expect. And when we start seeing these things happen within ourselves, we know that it's a result of these molecular changes that are occurring. And that's how we can gauge where we are at in the change and in the shift that's occurring.
You know, I'd like to reconnect our path to the original natural timeline. I don't like to use the word reset because it's being misused today in all kinds of language. So for learning, they have to set out the learning for us to do. In other words, we have to recognize the learning process in order to go down that path.
We have to understand that Earth and our physical life here is for learning. And within the universe and our whole spiritual being is centered around greater and greater gain of consciousness and understanding. Earth is an experiential learning field. So we're learning through our experiences that are the result of events. And so we have to look at all the events in our lives from the perspective of why is this happening and what do I need to learn from it?
Where's this all going to lead us to? It'll lead us to a new beginning. And it'll lead us hopefully to a new type of humanity.
It's a new era that's unfolding for us. It's going to seem miraculous, and we just have to get through the tumultuous times that are immediately before us. Once we're on the other side, we are going to start really taking off intellectually, spiritually. Our understanding is really going to grow by leaps and bounds, and we're going to have a reconnection with our star brothers and sisters who will once again, after thousands of years, begin to teach us again. And that's really going to result in an enlightenment like we've never seen before.
Yeah, you just got to realize we are not the most intelligent entities in the universe at all.
And if you'd like to know more, visit our books, the Augmentation of Man series. The first one is A Study in Renaissance, and the second, The Acquiescence of Humanity. They're on Amazon.com. They do go into more detail about these changes that are coming and why it's happening, to give you a greater understanding. And subscribe, because that's what we do. We're teaching people why things are happening, what to expect, how to prepare.
And how to understand this whole thing.
So peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment. And I hope that you have a really nice day. Thank you, and take care. Bye-bye.